Greetings nerdy list aficionados and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd, once again live from quarantine. Today we're taking a look at power couples who are stronger together. And we're going to be looking at a bunch of different types of strength. We're going to look at physical strength, power if they have some kind of power set, and also political strength, because there's many different ways to be strong. So as always here on Top 10 Nerd, we've got a variety, but that's part of what makes it fun. I'm Sasha and these are the top 10 strongest superhero hookups. Let's get started. In at number 10, we have Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor. They are a classic couple from the golden age of comics. They're iconic at this point, and the Wonder Woman movie definitely helped with that. Now you may be saying that Diana is a god and Steve Trevor is just a dude. Admittedly a Chris Piney dude, but still just a dude. He has been a secret agent. That's happened in a couple of continuities as well. Well, he's more than that. In a way, he's a bridge between their worlds, because Diana becomes an ambassador between the human and the Themysciran world, and this relationship helps with that. In many ways, their relationship becomes a symbol of cooperation and coexistence. There's also always a little bit of being impressed that Steve can hold her interest, and with her godlike strength and his ability to mobilize mass units of people, admittedly a bit more when he's a secret agent, they can also be a force to be reckoned with. Still, their staying power, what they represent, is what makes them a little bit of a power couple. Number 9, the Vision and Scarlet Witch. Now, the Vision and Scarlet Witch are another iconic couple with a fascinating history, which even has the fact that the writers that were writing their comic book series, the one of them together, didn't actually enjoy it because they didn't like the relationship. Also, a lot of really awful stuff happened while these two were together. It's not all sunshine and lollipops, and definitely not rainbows. And yet it stood out. These two together are definitely a force. The Scarlet Witch was one of the most powerful mutants in existence pre-retcon. Now she's one of the most powerful mutates and witches in the Marvel Universe. This is thanks to the whole Magneto is not my dad, because we need to have horizontal synergy between the MCU and Marvel Comics. But back to Wanda. She can literally warp reality, and she has. It's how she initially made their kids. Again, pre-many retcons. The Vision is a synthezoid modeled after Ultron, with the frame of the original Human Torch, Jim Hammond. He too is powerful, terrifyingly so, able to shift densities, utilize super strength, fly, and so much more. This is one couple you definitely do not want to mess with, and yet people do. Number 8, Black Bolt and Medusa. The Inhumans are much more than the failed show. Much more. There was an Inhumans push for a bit when the X-Men were out of favor. It was like, they're kind of like the X-Men, let's talk about them. Black Bolt is the leader of the Inhumans, and Medusa is his queen. Black Bolt possesses a devastating ability. If he speaks, he can wreak havoc because he just produces these powerful vibrations from his vocal cords. It's why he has that, what some people call a silly design on top of his mask. It's actually a tuning fork to help him direct it. Because of this, Medusa has to do the speaking for him. Oh, also she's his distant cousin, just fun fact. Look, with royal lineage, you gotta do what you gotta do. Medusa's powers are, as her name would suggest, localized in her hair. Each strand has its own powerful, individualized strength, and she can control it as if it were an appendage, or a limb, many limbs. These two are the rulers of the Inhumans, and they wield all the power that comes with that. Number 7, Rogue and Magneto. That's right, Rogue and Magneto, not Rogue and Gambit. Rogue and Magneto is like the other Rogue pairing. That's just some people's distress. They would first hook up in the Savage Land. This was in main continuity, and powers get a bit wonky in the Savage Land, so things can happen, like hooking up with mutants who normally can't touch people. In the now famed Age of Apocalypse alternate universe storyline, these two were together. His powers would somehow cancel hers out. Just go with it. It would allow them to touch and conceive children. Magneto is the master of magnetism, whose powers vary wildly. From him being able to control metal, to rip the iron out of your blood, to actually change the magnetic pull of the Earth's poles. That sounds like I said magnetic. Magnetic, you know what I'm saying. It really depends who's writing him. Rogue can absorb the powers of almost any mutant, and if she holds on long enough, the transfer is permanent, like what happened with Ms. Marvel. That's why she can fly and why she has super strength. Together, as I've said many times and will say again, the two are a force to be reckoned with. Not to mention with Rogue's villainous past, she sometimes lets to bend the rules a little bit. Number 6, Reed Richards and Sue Storm. Your relationship doesn't have to be the best for you to be a strong couple, like in terms of of influence in taking people down. Although Reed and Sue have some kind of arrangement going on. They have to. He neglects her so much, or he did before he saw them all die in front of him. Reed and Sue are both members of Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four, both altered by the cosmic rays that hit them in space. Reed would become Mr. Fantastic with amazing stretching abilities, or fantastic, dare I say. And Sue would at first be able to become invisible, but over time her power set would be amplified and you would be able to add force fields and pushing and tugging and a whole bunch of other things that have actually expanded her to, in some people's minds, being the most powerful member of the team, or at least the most versatile. These two hold the keys to some of the most powerful items within the Marvel Universe, like the Ultimate Nullifier. And they are parents of two of the strongest and smartest next generation heroes. They're definitely not a couple you'd want to take on. Number 5, Beta Ray Bill and Sif. Beta Ray Bill first debuted in the Mighty Thor number 337 and was part of a new era of Thor that began with writer Walter Simonson. He was a character who was designed to shake things up. He was supposed to be horrifying looking and also be able to wield the hammer of Thor, which was supposed to raise the question of, oh, how is this possible? For how is he worthy? Over time, Beta Ray Bill would become a part of Thor's mythos, like so many people who started off as rivals or fighting Thor. That's how Thor makes a lot of friends. And Beta Ray would find himself forming an attachment to Sif, the warrior goddess, who was once a love interest for Thor herself. Her with the powers of the Norse gods, and him with the ability to wield Thor's hammer. Both from other realms, beyond what mortals can conceive. They may seem like an odd pair, but they're definitely a strong one. Number 4, Aquaman and MERA. Aquaman is the king of Atlantis, with the power to control sea creatures and also domain over most of the earth. He can manipulate water as well, and he has some enhanced Atlantean physiology. Well, half Atlantean. His queen MERA, who is not only fully Atlantean, has over the years shown some abilities of her own. She is shown to be just as powerful and capable as her husband, and also has magical abilities. So the two together are a substantial threat, despite people thinking that Aquaman is lame. I wouldn't want to fight Aquaman. These two could conquer the whole planet if they really wanted to. It's a good thing that tends to only happen in Elseworld stories and alternate timelines. Number 3, the Midnighter and Apollo. The Midnighter and Apollo come from Wildstorm Comics, which would eventually be absorbed by DC. These two are meant to be pastiches of Batman and Superman respectively. They are also a couple in an ode to Superbat, which is the very popular fan pairing of Superman and Batman. Shipping is a thing, it's just another way that fans enjoy fandom. There are many ways to do it, and there's no right or wrong way or better or worse way. Any fan can be an amazing fan who helps and raises up the fandom, or can be a bad one that makes it look bad. Doesn't matter where you're from. Respect the fandom and others rather than tearing it down. There are enough people on the outside doing that, we don't need to do it from the inside too. The Midnighter is bioengineered and has superhuman strength and reflexes, and the ability to withstand certain psionic attacks, while Apollo has the powers of, well, Superman. Together these two and their rather more anti-hero approach to superheroing hold quite the grip over their planet, the Wildstorm universe. Or they did before they were broken up so that the Midnighter could flirt with Nightwing, and because no marriage, said Dan Didio, the head of DC at the time. Number 2, Storm and Black Panther. Storm and Black Panther are an iconic couple. She is essentially a goddess, and with him she is an African queen, for he is the king of Wakanda, and he also comes with all the technology and influence that brings with it. They are quite literally a world unto themselves, capable of either intense influence or total seclusion. It depends upon their whims. Most absolutely adore this pairing and are hoping to see it on the big screen at some point, but that's probably going to take a while because not only of what's happening at the time of this recording, but the actress is making comments about how she was there first, Storm that is, and that's not true. It was a whole thing. We may have to wait for an alternate universe. We'll see if it happens, but either way, adaptation is not the be-all end-all. You'll always have Storm and Black Panther in the comics. And finally, in at number 1, Wonder Woman and Superman. It was a toss-up for these two spots, to be honest. It could have gone either way. Superman and Wonder Woman are a couple so obvious that for a time at DC they were actually made fun of a little bit because it was too obvious, like a cheerleader and a jock. They were even labeled as fanficky in some corners. But then the New 52 happened and they made it a reality. Wonder Woman was an Amazonian princess and a god, and Superman was an alien with godlike abilities. This was coming from Krypton due to the change of the sun. We all know what happened. The New 52 presented characterizations that were different from the norm. Instead of feeling drawn to humanity and embracing it because of their abilities, they instead felt alienated by them. and othered. They were set apart by their powers, and so they were drawn together because of this. Drawn to individuals who didn't judge them for their otherness, and with whom they didn't have to hold back. Which ventures pretty close to that woman of tissue paper argument that some people have for Lois Lane. How could he have sex with her? Important life questions. So those were 10 strong superhero hookups. Let me know if you have any other faves that were on this list down below. And thanks so much for hanging with us and watching Top 10 Nerd, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.